Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. It is a good time to be a Batman fan, and as such, it is a good time to be making Batman content. I am making plenty of Batman content in conjunction with Cody Leach, none other than. Me and Cody are both doing several rankings together in conjunction with each other, going to release them at the same time. First up is Batman movies. We're both ranking all of the live action Batman movies. Few rules, because it can get a little bit tricky when it comes to what actually classifies as a Batman movie. I have set myself certain ground rules for this video, which are: the movie in question has to have Batman in it, and he has to be the main focal point. He has to be the main character, the one who's at the centre of it all. If you were going to give top billing to a particular character, Batman would be it. So while that includes movies such as Batman v Superman and Josstice League, in which he is the centre of the Justice League, he's the one who leads them, brings them all together, it doesn't include films like, say, Suicide Squad, the David Ayer film, because while Batman appears in that, it's a glorified cameo. It's not a Batman movie. It's a Suicide Squad movie. So yeah, I'm not counting that. I'm just counting the Batman movies. As I say, that does mean Batman v Superman and both versions of Justice League are included. So now that we've got that nonsense out of the way, we can say that we've got 12 movies which are to be ranked. So let's get into it. Worst to best, as usual. Here goes. Number 12 is Batman and Robin from 1997. As if anyone had any doubt, let's face it, this film is a travesty. It is a travesty that I can watch and be entertained by. It is one of those films that is so bad not so bad it's good, but so bad it's entertaining. Let's just put it that way. I can sit down with my 2-year-old, 3-year-old, stick this on and think, hey, you know what? At least he's watching Batman. Beyond that, terrible script, terrible production design, terrible performances, just terribly directed. It is aping the 60s TV show, so I accept that. I think when you come to the movie, you have to think, well, what is it Joel Schumacher's doing? What is it the studio's doing? And while I think the biggest argument there is that, well, they're aping the 60s show, which is fine, that doesn't necessarily mesh well with all the sexual innuendo that's in there. Although, that being said, if you watch the 60s show, there is some stuff in there which you probably didn't notice as a child, but you only do when you're a fully grown man. So number 11 is Josstice League. This film is it's sour. That's the thing, and I know I'm going to get crap from people because I always do. This is the film I gave a 5-star review on release. I enjoyed the hell out of it twice. I came out of it the first time, went straight into it. I literally watched 2 back-to-back showings, and I loved it. I really did. But then, as you watch it over time, it's one of those films where you see you see how bad it is. And then when you see the proper Zack Snyder cut, then you really realise how bad it is. And then all the drama that's come out, everything that the actors have said about Joss Whedon, everything we've learned about how he was brought in, what was done to Zack Snyder, it just leaves a real sour taste in the mouth. So that when you watch it and you see how choppily edited it is, and all the differences that were made, the stuff that Whedon cut out for the sake of what he put in to replace it, it's nonsensical, it's stupid, it's bad, and I know I will never live it down It's my biggest mistake in life. Hey, if your biggest mistake in life is giving Josstice League a 5-star review on initial release, then you can't be all that bad. You know, it's my one regret in life. Number 10 is Batman in 1966. So this basically came right off the back of the first season of the TV show, which was just immensely popular right out the gate. Way back when it came out, the guest stars each week that kind of played the villains, the colourful nature of it and everything, the fact that it was a comedy for adults, kind of pointing out the ridiculousness of a real life costume superhero, but to kids it was deadly serious. If you were a child watching this each week, Batman would end up in a trap and you'd be like, how's he going to get out of this? Because of that broad appeal, it was always very entertaining on multiple levels, and they made a film because of that wild success. I would say that Batman, the TV show, the 66 show, is something that works very well as a 22-minute episode of television. It doesn't work particularly well as a 2-hour movie. As a 2-hour movie, it really starts to drag a bit. Now, I would say it's still a good movie. Bearing in mind it's from 66, there's a lot of movies I see from 66 that drag, quite frankly. So it does have a lot going against it right off the bat, but it still has a lot of hilarity in it, a lot of really great moments, quotable lines of dialogue, and Adam West knows what he's in. He's in on the joke. He's absolutely in on the joke, and for that, it has a lot of charm. It's a 3-star movie. It's nothing more than that, but it's still got a lot of charm. And number 9 is Batman Forever, a film that has been, I think, much maligned over the years because it's kind of just been thrown in with Batman and Robin. But it's actually not that bad. I mean, it's still got all the Dutch angles, the neon colours, the over-the-top direction, and the larger-than-life characters in the shape of the villains that we get. But there is an attempt there to get under the skin of Bruce Wayne in perhaps a way that even Burton's films didn't. So I have to give it credit for that. And I do think Val Kilmer is pretty decent, given the film he's in. I think he's trying to be more of the Frank Miller school of Batman, but this might be a case of him not knowing what movie he's in. He's not in that movie. He's not in the Frank Miller movie. He's in a Joel Schumacher aping the 60s kind of Batman movie. It's not full on Batman and Robin yet, but it's on its way there. This is the blueprint for Batman and Robin. It's got practically the exact same story structure. It's just it's got much better actors playing the roles, and it's a little bit darker. So they've not totally gone off the rails yet. It's entertaining. I am entertained by it. There is at least a story there. There is character growth. So it's an alright movie. It's not as bad as people make out. And number 8 is the 1989 Batman. Now, it actually pains me to put this film this low, but that should tell you how much I love these movies from here on out, because for me this is a 4.5-star movie. This is the movie that got me into movies. This is the movie that put me on the road to being a Batman fan. It's the movie that put me on the road to being a filmmaker myself. It's what taught me what direction was. It had such a huge impact on my life, and it still holds up as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of people who say it doesn't. I disagree. I still think it's a great film. I think Michael Keaton's fantastic in the lead role, despite the 10,000 signature petition that was made against Warner Brothers, against Michael Keaton to Warner Brothers to have him taken off the role. He proved everyone wrong. And I think it goes to show that, you know, you don't have to be a big muscle man to be the action hero, to be, What's important is the character. What's the character at the centre of the story? And for the story that Burton was telling, Keaton was perfect. Is it Batman from the comic books? Probably not. But which comic books are you talking about? Because there's been many different interpretations of the character. You know, we'll have the same argument again with Zack Snyder's interpretation. But I just think Batman's so malleable. He's one of those characters that, look, I'm not overly fussed. I don't know how you can be truly faithful, because if you look at the Schumacher films, Batman and Robin, it is really faithful to a particular version of Batman, which is the 60s TV show. For many people, the 60s TV show is Batman. So Batman and Robin is very faithful to their idea of who Batman is. So, yeah, I love the 1989 Batman. I think Nicholson's great as the Joker. I love the art decoration, the production design. I just think, it still holds up. It's a great film. I love it. Number 7 is Batman Returns, neck and neck with the first film for me. But if I was called on it, I would have to go with Returns, just because of what it meant to me growing up. It was the first Batman film I saw in a cinema, and it's what actually got me reading comic books. The first comic book I ever bought was a adaptation of the movie Batman Returns, and like many a teenage boy, I had a major thing for Michelle Pfeiffer and her Catwoman back in the day, and she, as far as I'm concerned, is still the best interpretation of that character and always will be. The most faithful, again, to which version? Maybe not, I don't know, but to the majority of versions, maybe not. But the best for me, absolutely. And that's all down to Michelle Pfeiffer. I love the production design even more on this film than even the first film. The fact that it takes place at Christmas, it's a great Christmas movie. The snow all over the city really adds to that production design value. It just looks beautiful. It's a fairy tale. Basically, if you took Batman and made him as a fairy tale character, this is the movie you get. And that's what I like about having different directors come in and have their own take on it. Tim Burton, he turned the character into a fairy tale. I see nothing wrong with that. If you don't like it, that's fine. But to say that it's not faithful, it's not real argument to me. It's faithful to what? Which interpretation? For me, Batman as a fairy tale works. It works really well. I love it. It's just that, and this is where I slightly contradict myself, the films that come after this list are a bit more faithful to the comic books that I've read, to the comic books that I grew up with, to the comic books that were in the era that I was reading, which is the early 90s onwards. When I see these films that come after the Burton ones, after the Schumacher ones, after the 66 film, that they are more in line with the Batman that I kind of want to see on screen. First up at number 6 is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the ultimate cut, which is the only cut as far as I'm concerned. I'm not counting the theatrical cut. It was the first time that Zack Snyder got shafted by Warner Brothers, having him cut half an hour out of his 3-hour epic, which really diluted the character of Clark Kent, and made some of it feel a bit choppy. Like it literally did feel like there were bits missing. And it shows. Once you see the ultimate cut, it's like, oh, that is a much better film. You know, this film got absolutely raped by critics when it came out. People just lambasted it as one of the worst movies ever made, let alone comic book movies, which to me just is mind-blowingly stupid, because we live in that age, don't we, where something is either the best film ever made or it's the worst film ever made, and the division on this film was insane. People were literally hailing it as the best comic book movie ever or the worst comic book movie ever. There didn't seem to be that many people who sat in the middle, but I certainly, for as far as the ultimate cut goes, I sit on the fence of people who say it's one of the best, just because you can clearly see the love that Zack Snyder has for these characters, the passion that he has. It's all there on screen. It looks beautiful. You can turn the sound off and just watch the visuals alone, and that is just, yeah, turns me on in a movie viewer way. But Ben Affleck as Batman just blitzed it, shut all the naysayers up. This is Frank Miller-esque, Dark Knight Returns-esque Batman. You know, people who complain, oh, he kills, this, that, and the other. It's important to the story. He's very late in his career. He's not the man. You know, it's not like the Pattinson Batman now or the Bale Batman when we first went into Batman Begins. He's done all that. He's gone through all that. He's had his period where he, you know, thou shalt not kill. But he's very late in his career. He's been ground down. He's lost his spirit. He's gone through stuff, and he's broken his rules. And the story that Zack Snyder was telling was the journey of Batman's redemption, of him getting back to that place. So for me, I was fine with it. It was part of the story. The character being that way was part of his journey. So yeah, I love it. I think his interaction with Lex Luthor and Superman and just the way it's all tied together is just it's a comic book fan's dream. And I'm sure there's a lot of comic book fans out there who say no, it's not. It's not my dream. It's certain type of comic book fan's dream. For me, it was. I loved it. It is certainly the most physically kind of domineering Batman that we get on screen. Absolutely. He's a beast in this film. He's even bigger than Superman. Ben Affleck was bigger than Cavill for this film. You see them on the poster together, you're kind of thinking, I feel like Batman could take Superman, you know, looking at them. So yeah, that's the way Batman should be, really. If you're thinking about someone who's trained himself to the absolute physical peak that a man can take himself, this is absolutely faithful to that idea, to that ideal. So yeah, he's brutal as well. Absolutely take no prisoners, kind of, you know, the single greatest fight sequence out of any of the Batman movies is that warehouse fight, I think. That's like when you read a Batman comic and you see Batman just taking out 20 thugs at once, and you're like, yeah, it looks good on the page, but how does that work on screen? Zack Snyder shows us how it works on screen. Yeah, baby. And number 5 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Man, we waited so long for this. So long. Good grief. Yeah, it's just great, isn't it? It's absolutely great. Lord of the Rings kind of filmmaking. It's just, you know, if you take the DC universe and you say, what would that look like if it had a Lord of the Rings kind of vibe about it? Well, it would look like this. It's great. You know, I think Batman is kind of the central character. He's the one who brings all the Justice League together. I think he fares much better in this film than he does in Josstice League. There are much less jokes made at his expense. They do away with a stupid little subplot thing that Whedon brought in between him and Wonder Woman that No, thanks. Yeah, he's just badass. He shows why he's a leader. After seeing sense from the events of Batman v Superman, regaining his mojo back, kind of becoming more the man he used to be before we find him in Batman v Superman. He becomes a leader again, and he shows us why he is the man to lead the Justice League and bring them all together. So from that standpoint alone, it does a real service to the character. And Ben Affleck is great as Batman, quite frankly. And I hate the fact that there's a very real possibility that he won't be coming back after The Flash. I know there's loads of rumours about a TV series, this, that, and the other, but right now, I'm not so sure. I hope so. Certainly hope so. But yeah, he's a great Batman. Truly is. At number 4 is the Batman. That's right. This bad boy you see behind me here. Now, before people start getting the knickers in the twist, I've only seen this film once. And given that the Dark Knight trilogy, if you're new to my channel, Dark Knight Trilogy is my favourite movies of all time. If you're not new to my channel, you're probably like, ooh, right now, because I've said it up 10 times. I'm very reluctant to put a film, no matter how good it is, and even if it's a Batman movie, I need to see it more than once before I'm going to say, yeah, best Batman movie ever made. Because to me, the Dark Knight trilogy they're not just the best Batman movies ever made, they're the best movies, favourite movies ever made. If I'm looking at things objectively, I was recently told on my channel that you can't be objective about films, which I think is a crock of poo, to be honest. I think you can. I think I can look at a film like Chinatown and say, I can't find fault with the script to Chinatown. It has got what one might call a perfect script. I can find some faults with the script in The Dark Knight, but that doesn't stop me liking The Dark Knight more than Chinatown. It doesn't stop me having only watched Chinatown once and never feeling the compulsion to ever watch it again. Whereas with The Dark Knight, I've seen it about 20 times. So I do think you can be objective in your criticism towards a film. But my subjective criticism, my subjective reasoning says that The Dark Knight trilogy are my favourite movies. Are they the best movies ever made? Objectively speaking, no. Subjectively speaking, yes, they are. But at number 4, The Batman, that's why it's here. There is a very, very, very strong chance, as I watched this film repeatedly over the years, that it could usurp at least one, maybe 2 of the Dark Knight trilogy. At this point, I'm very reluctant to say it would top the Dark Knight. But there you go. Pattinson, great Batman. Although we only get to see one side of him, really. I'm not complaining at that. A lot of people have. That's not a complaint for me. It's just an observation. The world that Matt Reeves has created is stunningly realised. Great villains, brilliant performances, especially from Farrell, it's got to be said. Looking forward to seeing his Penguin go on and do more. He's getting a TV series, so that'll be great. It's just, action sequences are absolutely brutal, vicious, realistic. The Batmobile is incredible. I'd have liked more scenes with that, to be honest. Could have done without the voiceover that bookends the film, that kind of explains everything that is already happening. That, like, it's one of them voiceovers that, a bit like Blade Runner, if you take it away, you still get what he's saying from what we're seeing on the screen. So it's kind of unnecessary. I get why they do it. It's harkening back to the old 30s, 40s noir detective thrillers, but we're not in the 30s and 40s anymore, so I don't need it. But beyond that, it's subjectively speaking, it's pretty flawless for me. Number 3 and number 2 are pretty interchangeable, but if you put a gun to my head, then I'm gonna say number 3 is The Dark Knight Rises. I hate to say that, to be honest. they're all neck and neck. What can I say? Dark Knight Rises, I'd say it takes a while to get going, but once it does, it's like hits the ground running, and it's just spectacle. The spectacle of it is just absurdly brilliant. Bane makes for a real badass villain. He's one of my favourite villains in the comic books of all time when he's done right. And here he's done right. As far as an adaptation goes, a lot of changes, but in many, many subtle ways, he is still the same character from the comic books. Certainly the one that Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan came up with anyway. Selena Kyle is fantastic. Anne Hathaway blew me away when I wasn't expecting her to. Hans Zimmer's score is great, really on point. It's just cinematography, it's just everything. It's a Nolan movie, it's brilliant. Don't get most of the criticisms for this film. I think it's just the franchise got to that stage where people really wanted to find fault with it, and they look for anything because it helps make them feel a bit superior, I guess. I don't know, but for me it's outstanding. Number 2 is Batman Begins. It does, of course, have the biggest kind of character arc for Bruce Wayne, Batman, out of any of these movies. I think we see the most development in him as a character. Just the whole first 50 minutes to an hour is all about him as Bruce Wayne before he even puts on the bat suit. He goes from being this kind of spoilt little rich kid who's kind of sees everything about his worldview, everything about what's happened to him, and he has that turned around and realizes actually it's not about him, it's about the city. So it's crimes affecting the city on a much wider scale than just him, Bruce Wayne, and then he realizes he needs to do something about it. He doesn't know what that is, so he goes on a journey until he figures out that Batman is the thing he needs to become. He needs to become this symbol, and it's just so all that stuff, all the character growth there is the best kind of, I think, interpretation we've had of Bruce Wayne / Batman out of any of these movies, and it's that pulls you in. The fact that you're watching a Batman movie in which Batman doesn't even come into it until an hour in, and yet you're still gripped, you're still entertained. That's why this movie is so special. I've talked about these films to death, so I'm sure I'm boring the pants off many people at this point, but yeah. Number 1 is The Dark Knight. It is my favourite movie all time. Strong chance it'll never be shifted, quite frankly. I don't think you're going to get a better version of the Joker than what Heath Ledger brought us. Absolute chaos. That's what he embodies, chaos. That's exactly what the Joker is and what he's all about. A brilliant rendition of Two-Face as well, although I would have liked a bit more screen time with him, I guess. But it's as much his journey as it is Bruce's. And ultimately, it's a film in which our hero, Batman, loses. The Joker wins at the end of this film. That's pretty dark. He shows that someone can be corrupted. He shows that Batman can break his one rule. He has to kill Two-Face in order to save Gordon's kids. He's no choice by the end, but he breaks his one rule. So yeah, it's a dark film. It really is. The hero's journey is one fraught with travesty and torment, and it's all the better for it. Maybe I'm just a dark, twisted soul. Who knows? But yeah, for me, brilliant film, masterstroke on every level. Are there certain points in it that aren't perfect from a writing standpoint? Sure, but when it's this good, when it hits me on an emotional level this good, and it's a Batman movie, it's just I don't care about whatever little minor quibble faults you can find with it. The experience of watching it is just so 5-star level that I don't care. It's a perfect movie to me, despite its flaws. And with that, that is my ranking of all the live-action Batman movies. Do let me know how you would rank them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to go and check out Cody Leach's video. We're doing this together as a collaboration. Check his out. It's probably up already. And yeah, let us know who got it close. It's me. It was me. I'm right. I'm always right. No, let us know down in the comments what you think of each of our rankings. Tell us what your ranking is. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. And until next time, cracking.